Yes, hello, good day to you. It's me, Gary, over in Indonesia. And in this stream, we're going to be talking a little bit about hobbies. But first of all, I'd like to wish those people celebrating around the world happy Easter Sunday, everybody. It is Easter Sunday, of course, and today's date, the 31st of March, 2024. And of course, it's a very important day for many people who will be celebrating the occasion of Easter. So uh, have a great one out there. I hope you're having a great time with your family, your friends, and you're all enjoying the day as it was intended. Of course, the other big celebration on at the moment is Ramadan. It's coming to the end of Ramadan right now, or Ramadan is coming to the end, should I say? Apologies while I just fix the camera. Hopefully, that shouldn't cause us too much of a problem. While we just try and get that fixed up there, we'll just hopefully it's going to come back on any second. And if it doesn't come back on any second, well, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'll have to use the what we'll call a backup camera. Hopefully, the audio is still working out there and you can hear me. Uh, However, there's nobody in the chat, so we don't need to worry too much about that at the moment. Yeah, I was thinking a little bit about hobbies and what hobbies people have, how they portray those hobbies. We might have to reboot this thing just a moment, so just give me a second while I try my very best to. It was the cat. Hello, if you just joined, the camera is unfortunately playing up, and it was working fine a moment or two ago. But anyway, we'll try and get that back on, and then at least I can rechange it if I have to do that in a moment or two. Unfortunately, don't know what's happened. Oh, hello. Yes, I don't know what that is. Let's just reboot that now, and then we'll try and get that sorted out. So I'll just try and get the camera. This is the backup camera. So the backup camera is not as good nice as the normal camera that I use, of course. If you do know, and even if you don't know, I have a camera here just off to my side, and then this is the laptop camera that I'm using at the moment as a bit of a backup. Yes, it seems we've got a bit of an error on that camera. As soon as we get that one fixed, hopefully we can switch back to the better camera, and then everything will go just fine and dandy. And we'll just reboot that right now. So hopefully, there we go. Is that better? Does that look a bit better? A couple of people have come in and have left. So yes, let's press the clap button, and then we'll start the intro again. Hello and a good day to you. I'm Mr. Gary. This is my channel, English Speaking Skills. And in this stream, we're going to be talking about hobbies and interests. What are your hobbies? What are your interests? Let me know in the comments. And of course, I will reply. And we can certainly discuss those in a little bit further detail. You know, I really like to enjoy and listen to your stories. What are your hobbies? What are your interests? What are the things that you like? And of course, hobbies and interests can extend to uh, multiple different things. So some hobbies are inside, some hobbies are outside, some hobbies require lots of use of our hands, other parts of our body. And why do we do those hobbies? Well, in this stream, we're going to try and explore some of those things, and we'll get straight into it. So yes, good day to you. Of course, if you're celebrating Good Friday, uh, if you're celebrating Easter, should I say, it is Easter Sunday right now. And of course, I'll talk a little bit about my hobby as well and answer any questions that you may have. If you want to come and join me on this live stream, I just pop a little message in the chat and I will happily put the link in there for you to join. Of course, I try to limit that as for obvious reasons, and of course we'll see how you wish to come on and how successful this stream is. There is an issue with the camera screen at the moment. It's a little bit off. There's something not quite right with it. So hopefully I will keep my fingers crossed. We'll get through this stream as as efficiently as possible, and we'll make sure that obviously we can complete the stream without any further technical glitches. So I often think about people's hobbies, and I think, when we think about hobbies, do you think about hobbies? Some people often aren't aware that the things that they're doing, the things that they enjoy, are actually hobbies. So let's think about hobbies. What are they? Well, free time activities. We can think about the types of hobbies. We could also think of hobbies as being an individual, a team, or a collective group of people, or animals perhaps involved in those hobbies. Hobbies can be of different age category, and of course, hobby lifestyle. So, do you have to be a certain person to enjoy a certain hobby? Example, I'm not very fit, but I do enjoy going to the gym, and I do enjoy running and jogging and things like that, and certainly playing football. So, how does your lifestyle affect your hobby, and how does your hobby affect your lifestyle? Is it a good thing? Let me know in the chat, and of course, why you do those hobbies. What is it that you enjoy about them? There are a couple of quotations about hobbies. Leisure time is that 5 or 6 hours when you sleep at night. Of course, this one refers, I think, to the fact that most of us, or quite a lot of us out there, have to work many hours a day. I myself work 10 hours per day, Monday to Friday, and occasionally I have to work weekends. We need our leisure time. We need to wind down. We need to do the things that we love, to do the things that we enjoy. Some people don't enjoy their work. Some people find it hard, laborious, laborsome, underpaid, perhaps? Is that you? Are you paid enough? Does it make your life any better? Is your lifestyle improving, perhaps? Or perhaps things are on the decline. Sometimes in our life, we find that things go up and down, up and down. Whether it's good or bad, we have to take the rough with the smooth. The second quotation on this by Ronald Dunn is: if you have no problems at your job, you don't have a job. You've got a hobby. I think this is talking about someone who really enjoys their job, really has a very successful job, a career perhaps, and if they can get through a complete day without any problems, then it's a much less stressful day. It has to be, doesn't it? And a hobby shouldn't be stressful. It should be something that you enjoy doing. It should be something that you're passionate about doing as well, whether it's speaking, whether it's any kind of sport, game playing, perhaps. A lot of people find solace these days in the fact that we can play online, and we can play our friends. We can also play strangers as well, people who we don't know. So these are things that we all consider when we're talking about hobbies. Hobbies can be uh, categorized in different ways. So we've brainstormed a few of those, and perhaps you want to take notes. Perhaps you have a question. You can always put that in the comments if the case arises that you see this stream later on and you have any issues, or you want to speak more about it with me. I'll be quite happy to answer your questions and certainly give you my opinions. Hobbies. So let's think about vocabulary connected with the following subtopics. So the main topic of the stream is hobbies. What are your hobbies? What are your interests? Reasons for practicing or doing those hobbies. What do you get out of it? What's your satisfaction? Let me know in the comments, and I'll happily respond and reply to those in a moment or two as we go through, and perhaps when we've completed the presentation. Maybe you're brave and you want to join me on stream. And if that sounds like you, I'd be delighted to welcome you on, and we can discuss your hobbies. What types of hobbies do people have? Do you have any specific idea about the types of hobbies that people have? Why do they do those things? What you find interesting, somebody else might not find interesting. Or perhaps somebody sat there thinking, oh, I'd really love to try that. I myself, for example, would love to learn how to play music. Would love to learn how to play a musical instrument. I always listen to music, but I've always wondered, how do you compose? What's the process? How do you come up with the beats, the rhythms, the lyrics, all of that effort that goes into songwriting and into the production process of music. I find that really fascinating. Let's take a look at the types of, examples of hobbies. We could have collecting. People out there collect all sorts of various different things. For example, stamps, currency, or money, we might say, uh, football cards, other types of cards. For example, anime is a very popular one, especially Pokemon. Pokemon cards are a really popular thing for people to collect these days. Even adults and children alike really enjoy swapping and trading, collecting Pokemon cards. You might also collect a lot of other different things. Does that sound like you? Do you have a hobby that involves collecting things? When I was young, I used to collect football cards, and we had something called a sticker album. So each team had its own number of stickers. One of them was the manager, one of them was the emblem, and then it was the usual starting 11, perhaps a few other squad players thrown in there. And the idea was you would, whenever you got the pocket money, go into the news agents, buy the little packet of stickers, stick them in your book. Now, if you had a duplicate, then you'd be able to swap that with your friend or someone else who was doing it. And the company who does that is called Panini. All right, a very big card producer. Panini, Panini. And if you go, we'll have a look at their website later on, because I went on there a few days ago because we were discussing other types of collectible cards and things. Hand making crafts. Some people do it as a business, some people do it as a hobby. Are you talented? Can you make things with your hands? Are you a creative person? It could be things like soft furnishings, perhaps curtains, clothing items, those kinds of things. Pottery can also be one. Lots of people out there have different types of hobbies, or certainly businesses. Perhaps it could be gift cards, birthday cards, anniversary cards, those kinds of things. Are you talented? Is that the sort of thing you like to do? Let me know in the chat. I will come into chat, of course, very soon, and I'll greet you all and speak to you. For the time being, I'm just going to complete this presentation, and then I'm going to try and split this into two parts. Okay. Playing games. Of course, there are two types of games: digital, electronic games, and then obviously the old-fashioned traditional board games. I myself really like both. Maybe we'll talk a bit about games next time, because I've got something really cool I think you should see. However, I don't think I can show you that in this type of context. I would have to actually start filming and doing that somewhere else. Playing musical instruments, something I mentioned earlier. Art activities. It could be paintings, sculptures, perhaps. Uh, could be uh, tracings, like I said, paintings earlier on, all those other things that you can have with art. It's such a varied and wide topic, is art, that it covers a multitude of different disciplines. And generally, many artists specialize on the art that they have. Cartoons, for example, or anime, or any other kind of art and illustration. Those kinds of things sound like a lot of fun. Hobbies around the house. Do you have any hobbies around the house? Is cleaning a hobby? Can we say that cleaning is a hobby? Some people are clean freaks. They enjoy cleaning. I myself am not a fan. Caring for pets. Do you have any pets? Perhaps you know someone who has a pet. Is keeping a pet a hobby? I'd like to know. If you let me know in the comments or in the chat, of course, I will reply to you later on. Why do people in these pictures practice their hobbies? So, number one, we have a young girl And what type of hobby do you think that she's doing there? What are your reasons for these hobbies? Okay, perhaps number two is a little bit easier, and perhaps number three is even easier as well. Uh, I think perhaps it's a free time activity, is number one, something that she does when she's not at school, as she's a young girl. I, is it to learn something new? It looks like she might be in a leotard and perhaps some tights, and it could be some kind of dance class, perhaps ballet. Why do you think she does it? Well, for some other reasons, it could be to meet new people, to develop her talent or passion. To be fit, of course, to be a ballerina, to be a ballet dancer, you've got to be very, very fit. To not be alone, and this is a really important one, there are a lot of lonely people out there. And to relax. Number two is, of course, I think this girl is playing a musical instrument. What musical instrument is that, chat? I would love to know. You let me know, and I will certainly confirm your answer or deny your answer, which one it is. It would be interesting if you think you know what musical instrument the young woman's playing here in number two. Let me know in the chat. Hello there, Sarah and Mr. Ismail. A long, long time no see, but welcome back to the channel. It's nice to have you along. I'm going to be trying to develop this channel a little bit more now. I've got a little bit of spare time, and my life is a little bit less hectic on an evening and during the night. So, a lot of lost out sleep over the last 23 months. Wilfred is nearly two. So, yeah, I've finally got some energy. Football is my hobby. YouTube is my hobby. I do this for a bit of fun, and to connect with people who are interested in perhaps the English language, and perhaps people who just like to chat. Let's have a look at some other hobbies. Number one, we've got art here. Number two, playing games. Could be card games, it could be normal board games. Monopoly usually springs to mind, and Battleships are two games that I used to have. Keeping a pet, yes, of course. Hobbies around the house could be cooking, as well. People cook sometimes as a hobby just for the joy of cooking and creating new cuisines. Could be feeding the family, of course. Is that a hobby or a necessity, though? I think that's probably a necessity in that case. And then some other people, they may cook from home, and then they may sell their products in places that where people are hungry. You might likely find them on the street, for example, street sellers, a classic example. Playing musical instruments, hand making crafts, doing sports. Of course, here we have the sport of ice hockey, which I think uh, is a brutal sport. It's a very, very tough sport. Not something I've played. Not something I ever dare play. I don't think I'd be brave enough or skillful enough to play ice hockey. Hello, Palavi. Good evening to you as well. Number one, collecting LPs. We talked about collecting. LPs are records that they used to have. You will be very, very difficult to find somewhere that sells vinyl records these days. Everything's all digital, but there are people out there who buy, sell, swap, collect those original vinyl covers of songs. Certainly, I think they kind of went out of fashion during the 90s and were replaced by CDs or compact discs at the time. Number two, skateboarding. Of course, let me know what your hobbies are in the chat. I'd be delighted to speak about your hobbies. If you want to talk, maybe you want to come on stream and talk and chat about it with me, I'd be absolutely delighted to have you, and we could talk about your hobbies. Keeping a dog or a pet, reading. Of course, Mr. Ismail says there that he loves reading, or he likes reading English books. I I have one. Well, in fact, I really enjoy reading. I haven't read for pleasure for a very long time. Mostly, I read for my work, and by the time I get home, I'm just too busy with Wilfred, so I often don't get time to read. Or I've tried to develop these YouTube channels now, and when I think about reading, some occasionally he comes to me, and more often than not, it's started happening a bit more regularly. He likes to come and to sit with me, and he brings a book, and then I have to sit and read with him. So I really, really enjoy that, and I think that's perhaps rediscovering an old hobby that I really enjoy reading. Reading for pleasure, of course. I think when we read about different things, or when we're reading, we can categorize it, can't we? Are we reading for, is it education? Is it pleasure? Is it for work, business? Um, and once we categorize that and recognize it, then we can ask ourselves, is this really the kind of reading that I really want, or is it going to develop me? Or perhaps, I'm reading all of this factual study material, but I'm not reading any fictional material. Perhaps it's the other way as well. You're reading lots and lots of fictional material, but there's an area of your life where you'd really like to learn more. Well, then you're reading for a different purpose. Watching TV. I mean, I don't know this about hobbies. It's so easy for us just to sit down, have some food, and watch the TV. Um, and is it a lazy thing, a laziness thing? Have we all been conditioned to do it? I certainly don't enjoy watching TV anymore. I enjoy coming on YouTube and doing live streams, making videos, and all the rest of it. It's a lot of fun, and I certainly find it a good stress reliever. Doing extreme sports. Yeah, have you done any extreme sports? I think perhaps the most extreme is parascending, which is something like this, where you strap the parachute to your back, or parasailing, you might hear it. What happens is the boat or the jet ski uh, goes off. You've got to run, 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 run. And as you're running, the parachute takes to the air and it just lifts you from the ground. And, you're then connected to the back of the boat via a big rope. And I did that once upon a time in Turkey, which is it was a really nice event, and I really enjoyed it. So yeah, parasailing is a good bit of fun, a really good thing to do. I'd like to do more of that, to be honest with you. Parascending, paragliding, all those kinds of things. It's something that I find really interesting, but where I live, there's just no opportunity to do it. Glass playing. Yeah, some people play music with using glass and filling it with some liquid water, usually. Uh, using there is a technical term for it, the scale of music, do re mi so far T me radio or something. I can't remember. Like I say, I've got zero musical knowledge or skill. Texting and using mobile phones. This is a really interesting one. I mean, when I go out in the morning, I see people, and they're literally, from the moment they wake up, they're on the phone. They're either WhatsApping, playing games, or doing other things as well on their phone. And perhaps the art of conversation is a dying art, because everybody just seems to tap little messages to each other these days. I'm not so sure that that's productive or not. Doing DIY. Yeah, of course, it's springtime now in the Northern Hemisphere. My dad said the other day that he's making some, or giving the house we call it a spring clean. So perhaps touching things up a little bit. The weather's been terrible over winter time. Tidying up the garden, removing all the dead bits and pieces that are there, because there've been some heavy storms in the UK again this year. Graffiti is a type of art. And I know in some cities it can be a problem, but other cities are trying to tackle that now with schemes to try and develop the skills of graffiti artists. Playing PC games. or using the computer. Yes, I love doing a bit of that as well. I've got a little games console here when I have time. I quite often, you know, relax, put my feet up, have some snacks and drinks nearby, and then play some computer games. What are your hobbies? Which new hobbies would you like to take up? Which hobbies would you like to try? Some really interesting ones there as well. Describe the extracurricular activities in the pictures below. Who are they suitable for? Age, sex, skills, abilities. Sex means gender. So is it more suitable for females? Is it more suitable for males? Being in a band. I suppose anybody can do that these days. And I certainly know uh, a couple of friends of mine, they have sons and they go to ballet class. Usually, that in the past, that's just been a discipline of dance that's been reserved for girls. But these days, we're seeing more and more boys doing girls' sports and activities, and vice versa. A lot of in the UK, for example, we have a lot of ladies' football teams, rugby teams, cricket teams as well. We also have a lot of different sports there, and I don't think sport, it is something that is gender specific. Example: only boys can play football. Absolutely, 100% not. Pallavi says she likes and enjoys swimming, singing as well, and I think we can see some sort of card game here. I'm not familiar with that kind of card game, but anyway, I've not seen it. Uh, yeah, perhaps you have a hobby that you'd really like to try. Let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. And of course, at this point, I will, if anyone wants to join, I can put the link in there. You can just join. And we can come. You can come in and tell us a bit about your hobby. We'll pretend that I know nothing about your hobby, and then you can give me a little presentation if you like. Uh, what kinds of hobbies can we see here? What about this first one? Well, I think this is like a voluntary one, isn't it? Perhaps first aid. A lot of people are subscribed or they're involved in emergency and rescue services. And obviously, when an incident happens, they get called to go and perform the rescue operations. For example, it could be a wildfire, earthquake, one of those big catastrophic incidents. Other people, is this some kind of fancy dress or some kind of party? Hiking, of course, I really enjoy hiking or going out for a walk in the countryside. Um, Pets, of course. Would you or wouldn't you? Would you like to keep a pet? Would you not like to keep a pet? For what reasons? Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comments. I have got dogs back in the UK, or my family has dogs in the UK, so I quite often help my family take care of those. This number 5 looks like it's some kind of clothing or knitting group where perhaps they create clothes and give them away, make them, knit them, etc. And in other countries now where there are aging populations, in number 6, uh, younger people are actually volunteering or certainly taking up roles to go and help the elderly, because the elderly are quite often they're lonely. Their family may be working away. They may not be able to visit the elderly relative. I know of at least one case that I was speaking about, and that's connected with my football channel. So yeah, voluntary. What is voluntary? Well, let's just go back. Voluntary means when you're doing something and you're not getting paid for it. So if we think about charity work, charities usually have a lot of voluntary or volunteers helping them to conduct their activities. It could be food banks. We have a lot of food banks in the UK. Believe it or not, there are people in the UK who are unable to eat. They don't have any means or income to be able to afford to buy food, Perhaps it's something along the lines of homeless shelters, those kinds of things. In some countries, like Finland, for example, homelessness doesn't exist. The government there continually build small apartments, and those apartments are specifically for homeless people. So, for whatever reason, if they've lost their home, um, they will have somewhere to live, or what we say as a roof over their head. So there we go. Yes, good. We will get onto that in a moment or two. Embroidery or embroidering is this one over on the right hand side, or weaving, should I say? Embroidery is number 4 on this one. So number 2 would be goat herding. Goat herding. Some people keep goats or other animals for perhaps food production purposes, maybe chickens, for example, cows. They're not professional farmers, but perhaps they keep them for their own substance. What kind of hobbies did people have in the past? Weaving as well is picture number, I think that's number 2, isn't it? Weaving, yeah. So that's I think that's called a bobbin wheel. Is that, if my memory serves me rightly? What they do is they pull the threads, run it through the bobbin wheel, and that then weaves it all together for them and creates the garment that they're looking for. Uh, with a pattern or a design. So a lot of different um, hobbies that people may have. I'm going to run the chat at this time, and then I can just see who's there. You can, in the meantime, perhaps which new hobbies would you recommend to these people take up and why? Maybe you want to answer that in the chat while I just run the chat now. Could you change the timing of the live stream and make it 1 hour later? Yes, sure, Sarah. I think I could probably do that. And just let me know what days you'd prefer, because I'm looking to try and do more streams and perhaps more videos. Maybe, as of course, you want me to discuss specific topics, and I will certainly help or come up with ideas to try and do that. I like reading English books, Mr. Ismail says. Hobbies play an important role in building our personalities. Yeah, absolutely. I would 100% agree with that. Um, you know, we hear this word communities quite a lot, and we see that a lot on YouTube. Whatever the hobby or the interest is, you can find it on you or learn about it on YouTube. It is a magnificent repository of knowledge and experience and stories, and I absolutely love it being on here. If I want to learn about something, I'll first port of call, go to YouTube. Somebody will know something about it, and there are literally millions and millions of videos these days that are absolutely fantastic. Some of them. So yeah, I thought I'd come on and just try to help, try and breathe some new life or resurrect this channel again. Hello, teacher. Yes, of course. Pallavi says, my favorite hobbies are reading, drawing, cooking, doing creative things, singing, and of course, she likes learning. Yeah, so you can drill down then and then give us some more information, perhaps about reading, drawing, cooking, of course. I mentioned cooking earlier, cookery. People these days, I generally think that people can, or we can split cookery up. Is it something we do for pleasure? Perhaps for ourselves to test new ideas and new creations and recipes and things like that. Is it something that we do out of necessity, perhaps for our family, uh, for our loved ones, children, etc.? And then, of course, you'll have people who cook at home and then they sell their wares out on the street, perhaps, and then you'll have full-time professional cooks who are doing nothing else other than cooking all day long. And quite often when you speak to those people, chefs and things like that, and you want to try and get in a discussion, or you want to talk about food. Some of them will even just say, "I just don't want to talk about food. I've been with food all day long, and I don't want to talk about it anymore. And I just want to. I just don't even want to bother eating." Some of them just don't want to bother eating because they've seen so much food during the day. I mean, fancy that? Crazy. We don't have any pets because here there's a cat that comes to our house, so we give something to the cat to eat. Yeah, so you have what we call feral cats, cats that are wild. That perhaps we would consider them as domestic, but in some countries like Indonesia, like here, hundreds and hundreds of these cats are roaming around, and people feed the cat. But the idea was that when they brought the cats, they deter the rats, and then they just cause them when they when these sailors arrived at different places, they brought the cats. Unbeknowingly, they brought the rats as well, and the idea I think is not to feed the cats. Anyway, we eat, we give milk to the cat. Yeah, very generous. Some people do absolutely 100%. If that's what you want to do, you do that, no problem. Some other different hobbies to think about: bodybuilding, pottery, yachting, yachting. Okay. Caving. Some people like to go out and discover caves. This is a very hazardous hobby to have, going out there, especially where there is a chance of rain. You don't want to go down in a cave and get stuck in the rain because it could be the last thing that you ever do is that. And I always urge caution, or certainly go to a cave where there's little or no risk and you have an experienced tour guide. Don't ever go down a cave if you don't know what you're doing. Spotting, is it? Number 5, we'll just have a look and see what that is. Yeah, it's an unusual one. I've not really seen that, but perhaps it's some kind of art form. Rowing, of course, the most famous rowing race is the Oxford and Cambridge boat race that happens on an annual basis. And maintenance, doing maintenance on buildings, cars, other places, perhaps gardens, etc. So, a lot about hobbies there. I have invited already. If you're not able to come into the stream, that's absolutely fine. But I thought I'd just come on and we could discuss a little bit about hobbies. I would love it if you decided to join me on stream. It's really nice if I can meet you. I think we did once upon a time in the past with Mr. Ismail, but perhaps uh, you're slightly busy, and I will try, of course, to make the stream 1 hour later. I hope that will be a little bit more convenient for you. So, Pallavi, I know I have seen you coming into my little football channel, and of course, I really want to try and get this channel resurrected now and get it cracking. So, thank you so much for joining. What I'll do is I will end the stream here as we have nobody joining, and I hope you take care of yourselves. And I hope that this stream has given you some food for thought about hobbies and interests. Try to drill down, give more details. How can you expand your conversation skills to talk at length about those things? And that is where you will really then start to see that you're developing and using those English things that you've learned over the years. Right. Of course, if you want to subscribe to this channel and you found this little video on demand as useful, I'll put a subscribe button here, or perhaps you could look for the grey button down there somewhere. And of course, if you want to see something else from my channel, I'll leave this recommendation from YouTube here. That is based on the things that you view as well, and hopefully there's something in my channel that matches your interests. Take care of yourselves now. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one. Oh, very quickly, if there's something you'd like me to discuss on stream, by all means, put a comment in there, and then I will try and prepare some lesson material for you. Take care of yourselves now. Have a great day.